Hi, I'm Julietta, the Magical PT, joined with Allison, the Lifestyle Transformation Coach. And we are welcoming you to the Being Wonder Woman podcast, where we support modern day Wonder Women in developing their superpowers and acquiring the tools they need to achieve all their desires. Join us each week as we interview amazing women from the community to share their insights and how they use their tools to achieve their desires. Today, yeah. Today, we are joined by Pamela Morgan. She is an amazing Wonder Woman that we both know, and we are super excited for her to share her wisdom with us today. So, Pamela, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm so glad to be here with you guys today. I specialize in body psychotherapy. I'm actually a licensed psychotherapist, and I've been practicing for, probably over 30 years at this point. But my specialty is a very alternative approach, working more holistically with the body and using a variety of breath work and energy work and body postures and exercises to help get more connected deeply into the body and bring up feelings that people may or may not even be aware of, and changing physical symptoms and tension in the body. And it's a very, very powerful way to work, and it's a very deep way of working. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I've experienced your work. It's amazing. Also, as a physical therapist, like my focus is on the body, but I know that emotions affect how the body functions. So, both of us are looking at both things, but approaching it from, you start from the mind emotional side, I start from the body side, and we meet in the middle. So it's super
That's
cool.
true. Yeah, it's true. It's very compatible what you do and what I do, very much so. And yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So are we ready to dive into the questions?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
So our first question is, Pamela, what is your superpower, or what would you choose it to be if you had to choose one?
Well, I kind of look at this as a superpower is something like something that makes us each unique. It's kind of like a gift that we sometimes, I think some of the superheroes, if I'm correct about this, don't always know the superpowers they have. Some of them do, but some of them don't. So you kind of acquire that over time, and maybe situations bring it to your attention, or other people point it out to you, and it's become something that you kind of either transforms you or transforms others and helps you go through life, or even offering that gift to other people to help them transform. So for me, my superpowers, there's a couple of them, and they came to my attention not because I knew necessarily that I had them, but it was given to me by feedback from others. And one of them was that somebody just being in my presence, I have an aura of warmth, peace, security, and trust. And so people tend to feel more relaxed and at ease being in my presence, which serves very, very well with the work that I do. Is people have to feel comfortable in order to be able to learn, grow, and evolve when they're dealing with problems and so on. And then the second one that I was told is that this is a little bit resonate with you, Julietta, because I've been told that I'm both a magician and a scientist. And that means that, and it's true, I have a very, very strong interest in research and study and the science and understanding and using language to explain and describe. But also the magician side, which would be more like coming from an energetic base or a heart based. So putting the two of them together is another superpower that I have as well.
Wouldn't that be like alchemy? Maybe you're the alchemist.
That's a good way of putting it too. But I know you were
Morgan the alchemist. That's what I'm going to start introducing you as.
Yeah.
And I know you introduce yourself as magic, and you do magic and do the work that you do. So I know we have a little bit of an overlap there too.
Yeah, super cool.
That is true though, Pamela. I find that you have a very, very calming aura is a great way to put it about you. And I feel like you can definitely sense people's energy when you're around them. You know what I mean? And you definitely, that is one thing. I think the very first time we ever met and had lunch, I was so nervous, and meeting with you, you were just so calming. And I think that is so important. I hope that rubs off on me and I can be that way with other people, but I think I'm a little bit more high strung. So anyway.
Barbara joined in. Hi, Barbara. We're glad you're watching today.
Yep. She said, hey,
Barbara.
All right. The next question on the list is, what is the book that has greatly influenced your life?
Well, I have to say that it is Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. I read that book in the beginning of 2018. I believe that I think I read that book at least 3 times, maybe 4 times. It's the only book that I have read that many times. And it's very science-based, which goes along with what I was saying about me before. But that book in particular, really, in a very profound way, changed my life. And immediately upon reading that book, I attended 9 of his workshops over 2+ years, and I've integrated a lot of what I've learned from that and to my own way of working with people, and it's really helped me become more transformative in terms of my own professional and personal life. So it was an incredibly powerful book for me to read.
I agree with you. Like, what I love is I experience so many quote unquote supernatural things in my life, but it's hard for a lot of people to buy into it because where's the science to back that up? Mm-hmm. And so, kudos, thank you so much to Joe Dispenza for really digging into the science behind all of that stuff. And it just, and yes, more and more the science is catching up to stuff that many of us have known is real for years and years, but to have science back us up and say, you're not crazy. Well,
right.
Maybe still am, but to have the science to back this stuff up is a blessing for all of us who've been trying to push people in that direction for a long time. So yeah, love that book. It's amazing.
No,
I've only read it once though. Now I feel like I got to read it again.
I was told 11 years ago by my functional medicine doctor that I needed to meditate. And I was like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like let it go. And then I picked up Joe Dispenza's book right around the time Pamela did, actually. Yeah. And I was like, okay, like I need to be meditating. What have I been doing this whole time? Like I've been totally, and I don't know, maybe because part of me does need that research science backed, just to kind of get me over the hump. But truly, for those listening or watching, if you have never picked up anything of Joe Dispenza's, I highly recommend it. I think all 3 of us would.
Yes.
Yeah. Also super cool. Like you can find you can get his meditations off of his website, and there's a lot of support out there beyond just the books. And
yes,
oh yeah, for sure.
All right, next question, because this is super important for everybody. What is your favorite self-care practice? Because as Wonder Woman, we are typically like taking care of a million people, and sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves. So what's your favorite self-care practice?
Well, I mean, Allison, you introduced the topic so beautifully, which is meditation, because I'm exactly where I know exactly what you were referring to, because prior to me reading that book by Joe Dispenza, I tried many times to meditate. I never could do it. I could never get it. I tried many types of meditation periodically and never did it. Just didn't do it. But once I read that book and started practicing his meditations, I can do it. And through the experiences that I had going to his events, I actually was able to do 4-hour meditations. Even one time we did a 6-hour meditation, and I was actually able to do it and stay present, which was mind-blowing to me that I could do that, because if you'd said anything that I could do that like 10 years ago, I would have laughed at you and said, no way. And now I do it every day. I do one of his meditations, and they're different lengths, shorter and some longer, and I do them every day.
I would say do 4 hours every day.
No. But I also added in what I call is an energetic meditation. It's kind of a meditation, but it's actually to help build the energy in the body. And I've started to work with that in addition to his meditations. I also do a heart math meditation. It's something that he talks about in his book, and he also kind of uses in his lectures. So I do kind of 3 types of meditation right now, and each one has a different focus and a different benefit. So it's a great thing to do. Great thing.
Look at what Barbara just put. She meditated for
Insight Timer.
Yay!
I love Insight Timer. I think we've talked about this on other episodes here, but it's such an amazing resource. And like you were mentioning, you do 3 different types of meditation. There are like infinite types of meditation, and people often ask, like, what's the right way to meditate? And I'm like, the right way to meditate for you is the one that works for you, the one that you're able to get into and actually stick with, because if a meditation doesn't feel good to you, you're not going to keep doing it. And so you have to find what works for you. And Insight Timer, I think they're up to there's 70,000 different meditations on there right now to choose from. And that can be a little bit overwhelming, but it's nice that you can go in and try one. And if that doesn't work for you, then go try the other one. And once you find the ones that feel good to you and work for you, you just, you bookmark them, and then you can always go back to them.
Well, an Insight Timer is great because you can search by length and by subject, for lack of better words. Like if you want to do, like Pamela was just talking about an energy, she was talking about heart math. You can do a manifestation. You can do a healing. Like they have all of those. So I think if you're new to meditating, I think Insight Timer is a great place to start. But I love Joe Dispenza too, and he does have shorter meditations. So.
Yeah, he does. And I want to make one point about that too, because you brought it up, Alice, and I brought it up about how we never did before and just didn't do it, couldn't do it, or whatever. And I think one of the big lessons that I learned from Dr. Joe is the whole concept of limiting beliefs. So I had that belief that I could not meditate. I was not capable of it. I couldn't relax my mind enough to focus. And that is a false and limiting belief. So if anybody's out there watching and having that same experience, oh, I tried it, I can't do it, or it doesn't work for me, that's a limiting belief. And to just shift that to try it, just open up the possibility. And like what you were saying, just keep experimenting, trying to find one that resonates with you. You can do it. Anyone can meditate. That is a true possibility.
Change the story you're telling yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Our next question comes from, we were doing some research with other Wonder Women and asking them, what they want help with. And one of those things was accountability. So how do you create accountability in your life, Pamela?
Well, I think one of the things that I've realized, I know a lot of people say it's good to have a partner that kind of holds you to being accountable and making recommendations or checking in with you or things like that. I didn't find that ever to be particularly helpful to me, but I found that what was two things that I tend to do is I might, if I want to really take on doing something, a bigger task that I need to start, that I've been procrastinating or not getting it started, I might say to somebody, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be a close friend, it could be a colleague, it could be even somebody in our B&I group, and say, hey, I'm going to start doing X. And it's just me, okay, I put it out there public, so I have to save face. And even if that person never says, well, how did X go? I know that I said something, so it's like that becomes my own self accountability and saving face with myself. So that's one thing that helps me. The other thing that helps me a lot is when I start, like let's say if I'm doing my exercise routine, and there are days that are like, oh, that's the last thing I want to do. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to exercise. It's just like I don't have the energy, blah, blah, blah. And then I remind myself, I remember why I'm doing it. And I remember what the benefit is to doing it. I remember how I feel after I do it. And even if it's, I feel the fatigue of having exercised, I feel the satisfaction of, hey, you know what? I didn't want to do it, and I actually got myself to do it. I accomplished it. So right. Even that, and that really helps my accountability, is just to remind myself and remember my motivation, my purpose, the benefit, how I feel. And that helps a lot.
I think too, looking at it, knowing that 6 months from now, you'll be so glad that you did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to remember, like, I think so many times we go into something expecting to get the satisfaction and the results like immediately. And it just doesn't happen that way. Even if we go back to meditating, the first couple of times I did it, I was like, oh, okay. Like, all right. It kind of took me a little bit. Now, I mean, I've been meditating for, I guess, a couple of years now, and it just is so calming.
Different. And it's different.
And it's different than it was when I first started. So I agree with you. I think accountability also kind of has to be our own reminder, like you said, our own self-accountability, that this is why I'm doing this. Remember why I wanted to get this done, because I think we can get caught up in the day-to-day and forget that. So very good.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Well, the next portion of our podcast is our takeaways for today's podcast. You want to start, Allison?
Yeah, I would say my takeaway is, this is kind of a mix of our interview today with Pamela and from the last couple we've done. I have found that I think almost every single woman we have interviewed so far meditates to some degree. I'm serious. Every single one we have, this comes up, because it is really so important. And, if you don't believe us or you need to see the research, go to, as they call it, go to Dr. Google and put in meditation benefits for your mental health, meditation benefits for your wellness, meditation benefits for whatever. You will find research out there. It truly, and I know, like, I was the same way Pamela was. I've had those limiting beliefs. I can't do it. I can't calm my mind. I can't sit still that long. I can't. And then when I read Joe Dispenza and saw the science behind it, I was like, okay, I got to figure out a way to do this. Like, this is important. So I think that my biggest takeaway would be to make the time, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and meditate every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Teresa?
Yeah, my takeaway for today, I loved Pamela's accountability about remembering the why you're doing something. Like, you really, everything that you set out to do, you have to have the why and be connected to that why. Because, if you're not, like, you're not going to have the drive to accomplish it. So, a lot of times we set out to do things and we're just like, this is my goal, this is what I'm going to do. And we think that will move us along. But if you don't have a why for what that goal is, it's going to be really really difficult to get through that. So I love that, connecting to the why.
I actually started reading my why or vision or whatever you want to call it every single morning as part of, like, before I read it. It only takes me 2 minutes to read through it, but I read it and it reminds me, because there are days that I'm not really like super, pumped to go, through everything I've got to go through. So that really does help me remember throughout the day why I'm doing what I'm doing.
What's your takeaway today, Pamela?
Well, I guess I just want to highlight two things. One that I think is really super important and really helps me a lot is that I have a practice every day that I really look at the things that I tell myself and those limiting beliefs, and just really most of the things that we think repeatedly and the way we look at the world actually truly are limiting beliefs that in fact are even true. So to just continually challenge myself with looking at those beliefs when I repeat those same repetitive stories over and over again, to really check that out and shift that. And also really looking at how I feel when I accomplish something, kind of moving it ahead. And if I do like the exercise, or even when I'm putting off doing a meditation, how I feel after I do the meditation, that sense of well-being, or the peace, or the calm, or a change in state or mind and feeling, but also just that sense of satisfaction. And it's important when you want to create. I mean, you mentioned in the beginning, this podcast is also about, creating our dreams and our goals that we want in life. And that's part of it, to really focus on how are you going to feel when you have that dream or that goal. What is that going to really bring to you? The joy or the pleasure or the, whatever it might be, the satisfaction, those things are important when you want to move to your future, your goals, your dreams.
Mm-hmm. I think that's, I think one of the interviews we did last week, Sandy, she talked about that, about really visualizing what it's going to feel like when you get there. Like, it's so important. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today, Pamela. You are definitely a wise Wonder Woman, and we appreciate all that you brought for us today. And I want to invite everybody who's watching this podcast. We'd love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be great. And stay tuned. We have more good stuff coming. Ooh.
And we will put in the comments below a link to Pamela's website and her blog. Pamela has written some amazing blogs. Definitely want to follow her. Really great. So we'll get that in the comments too.
Yeah. And I think I've seen you've already been posting along as we went, the references that we talked about in the podcast, so you guys can have easy access to find those things. So awesome.
Yay. Thank you. All right. Happy Monday, everyone. You guys have an awesome week.
You too.
Bye.